I don't know what's happening.
Spoiler alert, I'm hoping the end of this video will be Andy.
Just restart. Anna, restart the computer then.
Watching girls being
Restart the computer then.
What's happening?
Then do what I just said.
I can't hear you for you.
Over the last month or so.
Hello and welcome to the MGP Game of the Year 2018 Special Edition Deliciousness. There you go, Pab. Put all that in the title. I'm Kevin, with me as ever, the sheepdog, Anna and Pab. Say hello, boys and girls.
Hello, boys and girls.
Yellow.
Hello.
And how are we all on this fine evening? What on earth just happened? It sounded like a catastrophe was happening in the background.
It's Dave.
What's Dave doing?
Calamity Dave.
It's got a thing. He's being Dave.
That's it. You paint a picture with words, Anna.
He got one of them dog things, and it's got sausages in it, and he's fighting with it.
Oh.
He's a wise dog.
Yes.
You know, if something's holding sausages away from you, you fight it.
Oh yeah, he's. We've got a secret sausage hiding device, which he gets quite frustrated with because it's hiding sausages.
He wants to have some thumbs.
Yeah. That's all he wants for Christmas, thumbs.
Yeah.
Is it one where you've stored your sausages to keep them away from him, or is it one where...
No, they're his sausages.
Right, okay.
They're dog
finally
sausages.
found a way to protect them.
They're his sausages in a Kong, and he can't get them out, and he's very frustrated about it. He's not used to delayed gratification.
See, my dog's too lazy for all that. We used to put stuff in a Kong and she'd go, it's too hard to get. I won't bother.
Dave's been going at this thing for the last 5 or 6 hours.
Chicken boys are just thicker.
Oh, he's the stupidest dog in the universe.
Ollie was just like, "I'll see you later." When you've got
I reckon at this point we could take the sausages out and he'd still chew on this thing for the rest of his life.
He's now, Kevin, at the desk with his nose in the air sniffing them rabbit sticks. That's what he's doing now.
Slight vlog spoilers for tomorrow. Those of you who listen to this podcast when it first comes out, I'm sorry for spoiling today's vlog that you haven't watched yet. But we did our Christmas PO box opening, and Dave got far more presents than anybody else. Dave is rolling in gifts.
He's been carrying the vlog for some time now, though, hasn't he, Kev?
Exactly. So he's living like a king this evening. He's got rabbit sticks and sausages and toys and teddy bears and treats and all sorts of stuff.
He's also trying to take over the hosting gig on a podcast by the sound of the background noise every few minutes.
He's had a taste of fame and where it can take him, and he likes it. Yeah. Someone needs to tell him there's no money to be made in podcasting.
Might be for him, though. You never know.
Yeah, exactly.
He might have cracked it.
So, as I did try to ask you before Dave rudely interrupted, how are we all on this fine evening?
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all right.
Can you hear the rain bouncing off my garage roof?
Is it raining?
It's absolutely throwing it down the rain.
I've not left the house since I got in. I'm an idiot, actually. I was about to say my plan was to not leave the house until after Christmas, but I've purposefully scheduled out a whole day tomorrow where I leave the house for loads of reasons, so I've already failed.
You are a monster. I've also not left the house since I got in.
You only went out like half an hour ago.
That's beside the point. I got in half an hour ago and I haven't left the house since.
No, you creeped in. No one knew you were here.
That's because I wanted as much time on Civilization 6 on the Switch as I could possibly.
Yeah, but I went to ask Amy. I was like, have you heard Doug coming yet? It's like, no. So I had to phone you.
That's the sign.
Was he behind you?
The game that you can't hear me and you don't know I'm here. How often do you not know I'm in the house?
Never.
Exactly. Point. So that shows how much I was enjoying myself. So, as alluded to anyway at the start of the show, this is our 2018 Game of the Year edition. This is different from a standard podcast. We're not just going to waffle on about games meaninglessly. We're going to waffle on about games with a purpose. Specifically, we're each going to bring to the table our 3 favourite games from the year of 2018. And then Pab's arranged some kind of vote that I don't really understand. And we're going to decide what our game of the year for 2018 is. I don't know if he's thought through what happens if we each bring 3 unique games to the table and there's no overall winner. I guess Pab's got that in his rule book somewhere, though. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
We'd have known if you'd let him read the rules out, but you told him to shut up and let you get on with it.
That's a good point. You did say that.
I'm just going to assume you've got stuff prepared for when it happens. And if the rule is Pab gets to decide, then you need a new rule.
No, we have to, as a group, come up, like, concede or, you know what I mean, work it out.
You know Anna's in this group, don't you?
Yes.
So we're just going to go with whatever she says or she'll yell at us.
No, I know that my games aren't going to be up there, but I don't care.
Splendid. So what we're going to do then, we're each going to go around the table, and we're all sat around a virtual table. Mm-hmm. And Pab, as the rule master, would you like us to do one game at a time going around the table, or are we going to do our 3 and take it in turns?
It's up to you, really. I mean, I think we
should do one each and take it in turns and go
around.
round. And obviously, if anyone says a game that someone else has on their shortlist, we haven't shared our shortlist with each other yet, but if one of us mentions a game that someone else is also going to nominate, then they can chime in when we're doing it as well. But we'll each name. Should we each name our 3rd place game and go round the table that
that's
way?
Difficult.
Or are we putting them in order at the end? I think let's just do shortlists in no particular order. Then we can vote when we're done. I think that's a better way to do it. So I'm not going to go first because, you know, I want to see the lay of the land. I'm going last on round number 1. So I think because this was all his idea, we should start off with Pork and Beans. Would you like to tell us one of your nominations for Game of the Year, sir?
Okay. I've got mine in order, but I'll just pick one at random. I'll go Spider-Man.
Spider-Man?
Yes.
I've chose Spider-Man too.
Have you? So why Spider? Because this is one of many games this year that I've played. Okay, this is one of a few games this year that I've played, but didn't even consider putting it forward for a nomination. So you tell me why it's great, and I'll tell you why it's not.
I absolutely love this game. I mean, this is the first game that made me get a platinum. No other game ever has made me do that. I just enjoyed it thoroughly throughout. The story was good. But the where it came together for me was the actual gameplay itself was fun. Swinging around that city wasn't really a chore. It was like, even when fast travel became available to you, it was like, well, I'm still not going to fast travel. I'm going to zip across this city. It's huge. It's this massive city, and it is just fun to do. And then the world is littered with collectibles. Not a problem. It's not a chore to do that. It's, side quests, random encounters. Nothing really was a chore. I say nothing was a chore. The only thing that was a chore to me was getting the platinum, just because obviously getting a platinum isn't easy. But even that, it didn't put me off. For example, I considered getting the God of War platinum when I finished that. I looked at doing the challenges and I went, nope, no chance. Whereas this one, I went, yep, I can do it. It's doable. It's going to take time, but I can do it. But this game, like I say, just plays amazingly well. Really, really does play well. And the DLC as well. DLC is a one, like, there's 3 chapters in the DLC. 3rd one's come out today, I think, as of recording. Mm-hmm. And it is 3, it's like 3 chapters of a story. So it's just one story arc with Black Cat. And it's so good. It's such a good game. And like I say, for how long, like previous Spider-Man games, I mean, it's been a while since there's been a really good Spider-Man game. Probably PS2, maybe? Spider-Man 2 game? Is that PS1? I don't remember. But yeah, it is such a good game. And it's just Marvel. It's a good superhero game. And I'm surprised you didn't play more of it, Kev, if I'm honest with you.
Well, I'll get on to why I didn't in a minute. But you've loved it so much that you've gone and platinumed it. Anna, you've got it on your list and you've not even finished it, have you?
No, but
So-
I still enjoyed it. I don't have to finish games to enjoy them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't have to finish it to class it as one of the best games of the year.
I've not met anyone who has said anything negative about this. I put it on my Christmas list. I made the mistake of choosing Red Dead as my game I was going to get and not this. And then everybody got this and said it was the best game ever. And it's on my Christmas list. I'm pretty sure it's been bought. I'm pretty sure I'll be playing it by Boxing Day if I don't get a chance on Christmas Day. But I'm a little bit... what's the word? I'm frustrated to hear that Kev's about to explain why it's a bad game, and I'm kind of nervous now because often we agree on things, so I don't want to fire it up and find that I don't like it because I've been expecting amazing things.
See, I'm not going to say it's a bad game.
For you, okay?
The whole swinging around the city stuff is brilliant. Loads of fun. I could do that all day long. Climb to the top of the Avengers Tower, all that stuff was awesome. And the actual, the story bits, the scripting and the voice acting, all that stuff is fun. You feel like Spider-Man when you're going around the city. He's doing his silly little spider cop stuff and just generally quipping as he's battling stuff, being Spider-Man. But where it let itself down for me, there are two places it let itself down for me. And one of them is much more of a big deal to me than the other one. The first thing that was a bit of an issue with Spider-Man is that the combat is just fiddly. It's just fiddly and really, really heavily counter-based. And I died a lot. And I know I'm rubbish at games and I will die a lot sometimes, but there's dying a lot and then there's dying so often that you just don't really want to restart and redo that bit because you've done it 10 times now. And I've never been one to redo the same thing 10 times just to progress in the story, especially when this is happening 2 or 3 hours into the game. It's not like I've got stuck on a final boss.
You're just bad at games.
I am bad at games, but it doesn't cause me to stop playing games all the time. Because some games are good enough to make that not matter. Grand Theft Auto 5 is the example I always go back to of it didn't matter that I wasn't very good at games. That pitched it so perfectly that the nerdy experts who love all the gamey challenge stuff still loved it. But for people like me, it held my hand in the right place. If something was too hard, it made it easier. If something was really hard, it let me skip it after I'd failed it 3 times. Just little clever things to make it so that I could still get a full experience out of the game, even though I'm rubbish at it. Spider-Man doesn't do that. It just keeps punishing you and punishing you and punishing you.
But it wasn't hard.
It was hard in places.
I will say there are certain, I won't say boss battles, but like certain like enemies that when you get clustered by a lot of people.
I remember being on a rooftop fairly early on. And it's just a big rooftop battle, comes in waves, and it literally got to the point where the only way to get through it, and I was streaming this while I was doing it, so it wasn't just that I was being a numpty on my own and didn't know what was going on. I was literally being talked through it by people as I was doing it, and it really came down to memorizing the order that you had to do things in, and that shouldn't be happening in modern games. You shouldn't have to memorize, right, this baddie's going to come from here, I've got to do this. And now this baddie's going to come from here and I've got to do that. And it should be more organic and procedurally generated than that in the modern world. I don't want it all to be completely scripted set pieces that are super hard. But like I said, there was one thing that's really important. That wasn't the worst thing about the game. That wasn't the reason I ultimately stopped playing. Because if it had had a strong enough story, I would have forced my way through all that and just carried on with it. But I got 4 or 5 hours into this and I still don't really know what it's about. And to me,
the man, Kev.
Yeah, but what's he trying to achieve? What's he up to? What's the point? What's his goal? Who's the baddie?
So did you not come across Mr. Negative at all?
No.
See,
You're not seeing any mirrors.
It is I think you are pretty much, Kev. If I remember rightly, Kev, did you stop playing with Lazy Jeff? Is that a bit right?
I think he died. Does he die?
Spoilers, Kev.
He's not even called
Anyway.
Lazy Jeff. You won't know who we're talking
No,
about.
I know. I remember watching Kev play at Lazy Jeff, and I don't remember him playing much past that. But that is pretty much when the story
Yeah, but that was
unfolds.
4 or 5 hours in. That's too far into the game to grip me. This is if anyone's got the cheek to nominate Red Dead Redemption 2 later on, I'm going to give you the same argument for that.
God, no, I doubt.
Because it's just, if this is how modern games have become now, that you have to put 4 or 5 hours in before it gives you anything back. Because it was the same criticism I had with Fallout 4. If this is where games are going, I'm done. I'll give up on that stuff now, please.
There was plenty on there, Kev. There were breadcrumbs all the way to that. That is just the point where it literally expands exponentially, the story. That's where, but it for me, it didn't feel like it had lost me at any point in that game. It didn't feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what's happening at any point. I think that's just you.
Yeah, it might be. But this is one of the games I was looking most this year. And I think for me to really, really enjoy a game these days, it has to absolutely smother me in delicious story and keep me smothered from the moment it starts all the way through. And they're the only games I'm ever going to finish from now on. The ones that are story above all else. And this just isn't. The big selling point for this is it is super fun swinging around being Spider-Man.
I'm interested to see what Sheepdog says now when he plays it in a week or so.
One thing that is going to help or hinder me here, I don't know what to expect, like, in terms of how, can't think of the right word. I want to say how violent it is, but I don't mean, like, obviously I know there's fighting, but I want to be able to play it whenever I want. And I think the best way of that being the case is if I can play it in front of the kids. But if it's quite brutal,
I don't think it's. There's no blood in it, from what I can tell.
Spider-Man's not murdering people because he's Spider-Man. No, I can't play Red Dead.
You will see him drop kick people off the buildings, and you will go, "Where's he gone?" Now, if you watch that guy carefully, he will get web zipped straight onto the side of a building.
I'm still. So it's not. I forgot about throwing people off buildings. That's probably not suitable.
You don't have to do that though. That's just a fun activity. I mean, you don't have to do it.
I'll see how I get on, because I think I would have played a lot more of Red Dead if I didn't have to go and hide myself upstairs to do it, just because of the way my house is. So, but I think if I had had more reason to play Red Dead, I wasn't feeling it, then I'd have probably played it more. So if Spider-Man is as good as everyone says, then no doubt I'll have the drive to go and do it. So I'm excited to get it. Everyone has told me it's pretty much outstanding. I'm hopefully a bit better than Kev at games. So, well, some games. So hopefully I won't have the same.
I think you'll be a bit more persistent with it.
Oh yeah, I
think it lost Kev pretty quick.
I remember Kev giving up on Arkham Knight a few years back because of the car and because it was hard. Whereas I 100%ed that. I got all the Riddler trophies and everything because I was enjoying it. So I'm thinking it's just that with Spider-Man.
It reminds me a lot of that. That's a very similar start. That's a very similar game in that I wanted to like it. It's a property that I love, that it was just too fiddly and stupid for me to bother persisting with.
Yeah, speaking of Arkham, the combat is pretty much a modified Arkham. It's a combo-based Arkham.
Cool, okay, because I just got used to that. Do you know what I mean? Like you tap, and the game would just carry out the moves you had in mind.
Pretty much.
Okay, so that's nomination number 1 for Pab. Anna, tell us one of your 3.
Fallout 76.
Oh, who'd have thought?
Yeah.
Why is Fallout 76 one of the best games of the year?
Because it keeps me going back, and I enjoy it, and I'm on my second character, and I find it fun. I don't see the problem where everyone's going bad against it, but I find it very fun. And
I'm going to ask you the same question I asked you the other week then. Can you finish it? Is there a story that can be finished? Is there a purpose to it?
Yeah, there's a story about why there's no NCP. I can't even say the words. Why there's no like NPCs?
Yep.
Yeah, non-player characters.
Yeah. So there's a whole story there, but I don't play this for the story. I just play for this for the exploring. I like to explore things, and that's because there's some games where I just want to go and look in bins and in houses, and this is the game for me. That's what I like to do, and I don't see a problem in that. I don't know why everyone's down about it, because like with the Atom store, like people are moaning this week that things cost 16 quid in Atoms, which they do, yes, but I have not spent a penny except for when I bought the game for Atoms that I've got from the Atom store, because you get them in game. You do little daily quests that you don't even know what's going on, but like, I don't know, you scrap a weapon, you get 20 atoms, and then them atoms grow and grow and grow, and then you can go and buy something. So I don't know why people are up in arms about it. I really don't. But I enjoy it, and it's one of my games. So, yeah.
Splendid.
Has it mostly been fixed now? That's probably the big question that most people want to know who haven't played it or gone back to it. Is it smooth now, or does it still have its issues?
I don't know. I don't know what issues they were talking about.
I don't know that it was ever broken. I just think the criticism was it wasn't a Fallout game.
It always seemed like online people were just saying they went to play it and it was just dead, and it wouldn't work. And
I've got the only time I couldn't get on was during the beta, when obviously they were doing timed events. So obviously, when they were having it on in America, I couldn't get it. But I have not had any problems. Like the other day, I did die and fall through the world, but I was getting hit by like 20 ghouls that would just hit like on me. So I think that they just pushed me through the world. But then as soon as the respawn came up, I respawned and it was fine. So I don't know. People are just weird.
I mean, it could be the PC one, because I know I've played it. I mentioned it on the show before. I did have 2 hard crashes, pretty much within the first 45 minutes of me playing it. Now that, like I say, it could just be the PC version, and I imagine.
But as I say, my ignorant, what I've just heard noise on kind of view of this, because I've not really made much effort to look into it, knowing that I wasn't ever going to put that much time into a game like this, was just, I just felt like, Fallout, whatever, that's the broken one. That's what I was thinking. Like, when it's mentioned, I'm like, that's the game that's fundamentally broken. And if that's not the case,
but I've never had a problem with it.
Then people are really bad mouthing it unjustifiably, and I'm surprised, because it's not just a couple of idiots on Twitter. It's like, I don't know, just that seems to be the prevailing ignorant view of it, if that's the right word, and unknowledgeable about the game view, I guess.
I think people are just kind of dogpiling on top of the fact that people don't like the how the world is set out. Because there's no one there. They don't feel like it's a Fallout game, and then everyone's just kind of just jumping on that bandwagon and just constantly like kicking it when it's down. I don't feel like there's any real like.
Do you feel like they could have avoided this if they'd been? I mean, you can't be less secretive, I suppose, because people will just steal your ideas and make a rubbish version of it before you release it. But maybe if they'd built it up better at the start, people would have been less bamboozled by it. I don't know. It just seems like it.
I don't know. I enjoy it. I don't have problems with it, and I don't understand. I just don't understand why people are bad mouthing it.
But I also wonder whether that's because you're happy to wander the wasteland and just see what's there. That's a bit like No Man's Sky type stuff, isn't it? That people adore that game now. It's all fixed and everything. And again, it seems like the ignorant opinion of it was that, that's broken, that's wrecked, that's ruined, that's rubbish. And I definitely, jumped on that bandwagon when it was a thing, because I felt like it was ridiculous and had hyped it. But over the years since, they've turned that into a real sort of solid, the prevailing kind of opinion about that online is that it's amazing now. I've not gone to it. I can't tell you whether that's true or not, but again, just the feeling is that's the game that they fixed, in my mind. That's what I've heard, sort of thing. But again, it still sounds like it's a game you wander around in space, you land on planets. It's like the non-Fallout zone version of Fallout this. So,
but it's my choice, so I don't have to follow everyone out of bad mouthing.
Oh no. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I enjoy just wandering about. It's a very pretty game, and I did enjoy parts of where I wasn't getting chased by ghouls, and I didn't have anything. I didn't have any bullets and no melee weapon. Yeah. I did just enjoy just that's what kind of drew me to it. Just wandering around the world.
Yeah, the tutorial area is awful because it doesn't really explain anything. Like, I had to start a second character called Kevin because I didn't realise that I got to level 25 being me, and then I had to start as Kevin because I didn't realise I had to collect guns to break them down to get the mods for guns I wanted to make. Didn't make that clear. So when I was like level 25 with like level 10 guns, I'm thinking this is not great. This is not working.
Yeah.
So I started again, and I've been like collecting guns and breaking them down, getting the mods, and now I'm a little bit better with my guns because my guns are going to match the level I'm at. When I was playing as me, I wasn't doing that, and then I fell behind because I didn't have any guns to make anything better.
Yeah.
So it doesn't explain things very well, but when you get to grips with like you need to collect this, and this, you need to bulk up your adhesive and your metal and stuff just so it weighs less, so it takes up less space, and the fact that you need to not carry so many stim packs because they're £1 each, and you only get a certain amount of carry weight, and just little things like that. It doesn't explain to it until you look into it, like, oh, okay, that's why. But apart from that, like, I enjoy the game. Like, even when I was like, when I had loads of work for uni to do, I'd still find an hour or two just to go in there and just mess about because it relaxes me, and I don't have to do anything for it. Like, in some games, you have to go like here, and here. You have to go to A, B, C, D. Here, I could go to A, and then I could go to D, and then come back to B. I didn't have to do anything at all. I didn't have to remember what I was doing because I'd always just go in and mess about. And if I wanted to go and follow a storyline, I could just like click it, head that way. But I didn't have to. Do you know what I mean? I could just go where I wanted. Yes, my level would hinder me sometimes because some areas are for people who are higher level than I am, but I could still go around there, look around, and run away before something gets me. So I've done that loads of time. I'm like, oh, there's death court. Nope, turn around, go, and just sneak away, and then they don't know you're there. So yeah, it's a game that has a story, but I don't have to follow it if I don't want to, and I just that's what I wanted at the time because I had so many things going on about evidence-based policing and identity things that I just wanted to walk around and loot adhesive and aluminium.
Sometimes you all feel like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it's one of my games of the year, even though it came out in, November.
Splendid. Sheepdog, would you like to nominate a game?
Yeah, I didn't realise this year's been really bloody long and so many decent games have been out in it. But the first big game of the year that I really enjoyed, that we have talked about a lot in the show, was Detroit Become Human. And I want that to be my first one because I think it really pulled me back into gaming from a very, very long period of kind of admittedly phoning it in every week. I think that marked the point where we pretty much stopped doing TV and comics and film because we had enough games to talk about at that point. And that shows how good it was because I feel like I've been gaming non-stop since. That really hooked me back in. I mean, it got Mrs. Sheepdog gaming. She hasn't completed it, and the fact that was so different, and we never actually did that recap episode where we were going to go through and compare.
Let's do it right now because this is on my list as well. This is one of my three. So we should do the recap right now. For example, did you ever go back and play the third of the game that you missed?
Well, I played it with Claire. I think where she is right now, it's just after you're in someone's house and you have to basically hide everything before the police come in, and you have to react to the police being there. And I think we sort of turned it off after we'd made a mistake and one of those people had been killed. The big fella who she meets gets killed.
No.
And there were some interesting things where I suddenly playing her story with Claire. There was things I've noticed that Claire hasn't, and I don't want to say them out loud because she's in the other room, but I'm certain that one of the characters that you think is a human isn't. And I noticed little things like you basically don't have to feed them, or they never actually eat when you go to offer them food and stuff like that. And it's little bits like that I was picking up on, and I just thought, I really want to know if I'm right. And I've never Googled it because I thought we'll play the next bit, but I'm 99% sure I'm correct. And I'm not really fussed if you spoil it, but I don't want to spoil it for her. I don't think she's listening, but
You're correct.
Yeah. But when I realised that, I was like, oh man, that's probably the only bit I'm sad about not seeing in my playthrough. But I love the fact I played it so differently from anyone else I know who's played it, because the game adapted so perfectly. I don't think it made a difference that she wasn't there. I consider her to be DLC practically now. But no, that bit was when I realised it. I was like, wow, that's
Whereas
so good.
I'm sat here thinking the game was about her. There was these other two characters, but the game, it was her story, and then occasionally it cut to this other story that was going on, but it was really about her. It's like the total opposite of what my complaint about Spider-Man was, because Spider-Man had some fun gameplay elements, but just didn't have the story that hooked me in and gripped me. This is just all brilliant story from the word go, and there's not really much of a game to go with it. It's the video game equivalent of a choose your own adventure novel, but it's a masterpiece of a choose your own adventure novel.
Playing it with Claire back through, there's a few times where I think, could I have I thought when I was playing it that some of the parts I did wrong or failed at were down to me, and I've discovered since that they were just the story. Like when you're in the TV tower and the guards are at the table, I thought perhaps you could have snuck past them and not caused the massive drama that obviously the whole drama would have unfolded, but you might have been able to go into the room and be a bit more subtle about it. But there's literally nothing you can do. Like, it was something about try and act natural, and when I tried to just walk, I was going all over the place, and they were instantly like, who is he? What's he doing? He's not a human. Whereas with Claire's go, I asked her, can I have the controller? She's like, why? And I was like, well, I just want to do this really smoothly and try my absolute hardest. And I walked in a complete, straight line, really human looking, and they just instantly went, you're not human. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, there was no way I could have got that right. Or at least if you can, I'm not skillful enough to do it. So that was fun, but I spent a little bit of time reading some of the story bits of the ones I did, the two guys I'd played. I read differences there. Like I never knew what the blue button in the garden did because it never came up in my story. Whereas it's like one of the most pivotal parts of other people's tales, which is baffling again because it was just irrelevant. I think it's because I kept the whole story, keeping the woman just on side, keeping her kind of at arm's length, but it was so important. It was so important and so obviously important that you're describing bits of the game and I don't remember any of them. I don't remember anything about games. I don't pay attention as I'm going around games. But when it came the moment for them to say, you've got to escape, I just knew, well, it must be that button. And I knew where it was, and I went straight back to it. And it was perfectly introduced and perfect. The importance of it was clear, but obviously it wasn't in your playthrough. We played two completely different games. Well, I mean, the funny thing is that it was so important to me, but I didn't know what it did. So when I was wandering into the garden every time, I was making a beeline for the button, pressing it, seeing nothing happened. I convinced myself it changed the weather in the room. Just because the weather changed every time you went in there, didn't it? So I just assumed, because that was the first thing I did, I assumed I'd made it rain or I'd made it snow. And it was only when Claire was playing it, I knew that it wasn't. I figured it must have another purpose, but it was only at that point I absolutely knew it wasn't just a weather button or something. And then when I looked it up, I was like, bloody hell, this is really integral for some people, you know, or most people. I don't know. I mean, I was also I've been interested to see how Claire plays it, because I have been ultra peaceful at every single turn in my playthrough. Just no matter what, when they were gunning people down, I just stayed peaceful. When they were cornering people, I just stayed peaceful. But I think my favorite moment was when there was 4 people left in the corner and they were just coming in with guns, and I just clicked sing, and all my characters just started singing, and they're all at gunpoint, and then the public attention just kind of completely swayed in favor of my lot, and that turned the tide of the whole thing. And it was so emotional. I was just like, yes, this is so cool. But again, it's just like, I don't really know why I clicked sing when I was reading it. I think it was just in the moment. I was like, that seems like the only option they've got, really.
Sheepdog, when I was right at the end of this game, one of the options was kiss the girl whose name I can't remember. And
North, was it?
Yeah, kiss North. And yeah, so I just went, yeah, let's kiss North. And it was the kiss that changed the world. It was the most important thing we could have possibly done in the game. It was just
mad, isn't it? It's
brilliant. There's so many different ways to do it. And the great thing is you can just fully role play it. And really, it's the same way. This is a common theme on all the games on my list. You can completely lose yourself in the story of it, put yourself in the position of the characters. And for me, it's the perfect opportunity to just write, if I'm this character in this situation, what do I do? And I love when I can do that with games. For me, it's not even one of the best games of the year. It's probably one of the best games of all time, if not for me, the best gaming experience of all time. Because
I can agree, it was spot on. Weirdly, when I asked my friends in my little Go group about it, none of them had heard of it, and none of them did, and I was very shocked. But they're not really gamers. But I was going to say about North, I was a bit shocked at how dark the game gets for some people. Like in mine, she died when you were running out of the boat, which is really annoying because it said press X and I pressed circle. Like, I pressed where X was on the Xbox or something stupid like that. And so she got killed. But I read on Reddit that in someone else's, the character, she dies and the character has the option to basically take her heart and like run with her heart in their like pocket. I was like, that's just bizarre. I don't know whether the plan was there to like try and bring her back somewhere else or whatever, but it got really brutal. They cut her open and took the heart out and ran off. And I was like, that just sounds really dark. There's loads of stuff like that online. Apparently just, you could end up down such a rabbit hole that your characters are all a bit unhinged and mental, which I guess it just reflects some of the people. I realise how that sounds. There's going to be people listening who are like, oh, mine did that and I'm not mental. But Reddit's full of crazies is what I'm trying to say.
Reddit is indeed full of crazies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Detroit is, it's just delicious. I'm flabbergasted that neither of these other two rascals have got it on their list. They both played it. Why is it not one of the best games of the year?
Because we like different things.
Yeah. I enjoyed other games more. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it. I mean, realistically, it is almost on my top 3. It is probably 4, maybe. Oh, you know what I mean? It's definitely not a bad game, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, we were planning a spoiler cast sort of thing, and I spent an entire evening just writing notes of like what I did and what we went through.
Sorry, Pap.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Like I say, I enjoyed doing it, and just looking at that timeline and seeing like, oh, I could have branched there. I did a complete timeline down here. I didn't even touch. It's just go on.
No, so the funny thing is as well, I realised that, I mean, there may be people out there who haven't played it because it's still a this year game, but nothing can be a spoiler because you might have a character die. Well, it can be if you happen to pick the 30 or 40 decisions I picked to get to the point where my things happen. But you might have the what's her name, Kara, die straight away like I did, and then nothing that said about her story matters to you. You might have anything happen. I didn't know that Connor could die. He didn't die at all for me.
I had hundreds of gravestones.
Yeah.
I think I had one death.
No, I think I had 3 or 4 Connor gravestones. By the
When
end of
he
the
died
game.
at the end, I was mortified. I was so gutted that he hadn't survived, and then I found out that he's basically a bloody trophy if you kill him enough times.
If you get all 8 of his deaths, you get a trophy, I think.
Couldn't believe that.
But for me, he didn't die at the end.
Yeah, well, that's only because I'd missed a picture on the table, which I also then missed on Claire's because I didn't know where it was. So I was very disappointed and I'm frustrated that there's such a flaw in. That's the only criticism I had of the whole thing, was there's a massive flaw in that if you don't happen to see one thing, you're put in a situation you can't win.
Yeah. I think you're right with that, Sheepdog. I think it made me tense toward at certain points. I was like, I cannot mess this up.
But that's brilliant. The fact
It's not a bad thing at all. But it made it tense.
It's got real consequences, permadeaths. None of this. Oh, you failed. Replay it 10 times. That Spider-Man was throwing at me. If you fail, that's fine. You died. Let's carry on with the story.
Yeah,
that's brilliant. I love that.
I never checked whether Marcus could die, though. I don't know whether that's possible.
I guess he must.
I think Endgame probably.
But
I don't know. I don't necessarily think.
The key is to start again and try and get him killed.
I can't think of any points where it would encounter that. But maybe the TV station, but I don't know.
When you're at the TV place, just don't run. Just stand there and get shot and see what happens.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting because it can't have a game over. But then
no, it's not game over. It'll just that story.
Yeah.
It'll just push through to the next character. I would have thought. Yeah.
It'd be really interesting if you were just then investigating an entirely different clone who you didn't have any control over. Not clone, but
I'm curious to see if you can finish the game with all of them dead.
That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Well, presumably Connor just keeps coming back, so even if he does keep dying, there'll still be a Connor at the end.
Good point. Yeah.
They've got a room full of them. They'll just keep loading up a new one.
It's a good point.
I think on stage with mine, it was a bunch of randoms. I had no idea who they were. Or like they were other people in North's gang, so maybe they just become more prominent if you balls up enough. But that's perfect in itself because that means there's people out there who have played this game and they've got really integral characters that none of us had, who were like massive in this whole movement and were the eventual successors, and that's just seems bizarre but clever. And
bottom line, folks, if somehow you listen to this show and we didn't harp on about this game enough at the time. I mean, there was a month-long period earlier this year where this was all we talked about every week. If you somehow missed that Detroit is a thing that happened, I imagine you can pick it up dirt cheap now. You owe it yourself.
It's like 15 quid, I think, on the PlayStation Store.
And does that still come with Heavy Rain as well? Because if you've not played that, that's another one to play as well by the same people.
Oh, yeah, I've got that and I haven't played it, and that's something that would be nice to be a bedtime playing.
But yeah, for 15 quid, goodness me, have you got to go and play Detroit, because it's so different from everything else that's out there and so very good. And I just wish there were more studios out there willing to take a risk on making a game like this. And I guess the issue is the fact it probably didn't sell hugely and it probably didn't make a huge amount of money. And it's just the passion of this particular studio and this particular guy to keep making this kind of game.
Do you know what, though? I don't know whether I brought it up last week, Minecraft Story Mode, the last podcast. It's on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And Ollie was playing it and absolutely loved it. I mean, he's played it through 3 times now. I'm getting sick of it. And it seems they're testing the water. They're saying, right, we'll take a few of those games and we'll just see what happens, because it is just a Telltale game and they've turned it into a TV show. And I'm thinking to myself, if they just bought, is it a Molecule Media? Is it them, or I forget the name now, the company who made it? Detroit.
What? Detroit Quantic Dream?
Quantic Dream, that's it, sorry. I knew it was something to do with Little Things. And if they just said, right, we want you to make Heavy Rain into a TV show, we want you to make Beyond Two Souls into a TV show, people would lap that up. A Choose Your Own Adventure TV show. All it does is you'd be watching a bit of drama.
Problem is, wasn't that what Quantum Break was? Wasn't that what they tried to do?
I don't think it was it? I thought the idea was you played the game. Whereas this, you have to check it out on Netflix. It's literally just that they'll go, I think the guy's name is Jesse, and they're like, Jesse, do we go left or right? And then it just comes up left, right, you pick which one you want, and then it plays the next video. And you don't have to do any of the walking around. They've played the game themselves, and you just pick the route you want to go through. So Ollie loves that because he's sat there. He doesn't even know what it says on the screen half the time, but he'll just click it and see how it unfolds, and then he'll do the opposite the next time he plays it. And you can say to a character, you stay here, and then suddenly it's like, oh, that character died because you left them behind, and stuff like that. And maybe they'd have to edit out some of the more trivial questions because like Detroit had a lot of stuff in it that probably didn't matter overall, or seemingly didn't matter. They might have to narrow down the branches, but could you imagine the amount of debates people would be having if we all started watching a program together and it all ended differently for us and stuff? I feel like Netflix are really investing heavily in this, and if they've not got Quantic on their radar, then they're missing out, because that'll be how they'll make their billions, surely.
Just let them go and buy Telltale, or what's left of Telltale.
Well, it seems like that's what they've done. To be fair, that seems like what they're doing. They're harvesting those bits and making some money out of it.
Splendid. So moving on from Detroit, which was on my list.
Yeah.
Another game that was on my list, A Way Out. Me and Anna played this together earlier in the year. This was the other one, along with Spider-Man. These were the two games I was looking forward to most this year. The two games I was most excited about. But A Way Out, it was just, again, something so completely different. It was Prison Break the game. It was co-op only, where me and Anna played a character each. We did the whole thing over the course of a weekend live on Twitch as well, which made it even more fun because we had an audience. But just being able to play a game that's completely designed around a story-based co-op experience, and it was short and sharp and snappy. It was probably only 5 or 6 hours long in total. Yeah. So it wasn't a huge, overwhelming experience. It was reasonably cheap as well. I think it was only like 25 quid when it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's another one of those things where if there was more stuff like this out there, I would play a lot more games, because there's lots of stuff that you can play in co-op. Anna said to me the other day, there's a new Borderlands game coming, whenever it might be coming. You're going to play that in co-op with me, aren't you? And my response was,
no,
it's just a shooter. We've done Borderlands together in the past, and it's just generic shooting. I think I've been drifting in this direction for however many years now, but I think I have made the decision now that if games are just about running around and shooting stuff, I ain't interested anymore. I'm too old for all that. I'm not on board with just running around and shooting. And Borderlands is pretty much the same experience, whether you play it on your own or in a group of 4 people. You can have a laugh and prat around a bit when there's 4 of you, but it's still the same game. It's designed to work well in single player, etc., etc. I'd
argue you probably don't offer much to Anna when she's shooting anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
To be fair.
Yeah, but we did the first one. I wanted to do the next one, but he's like, no.
That's because I've experienced how co-op gaming could be, and I hadn't enjoyed co-op gaming this much since Left 4 Dead. Left 4 Dead was the other one that was just perfectly built around being a co-op game, and this takes that feeling but builds on it even more by making us have to actually cooperate with each other and go off and do different things and talk to each other while we're doing it. There's no way you couldn't just play this game through with a random on the internet. You've got to be having that conversation of, right, you go and do that. You hold that thing up while I go and do this thing over here. Right, I'll do this bit. You do that bit. You wait here. And it was just amazing. And then piling on top of it as well, the story and I don't want to, I know it's a 9-month-old game now, however old it is, but the sting in the tail of this game.
It's gut-wrenching.
Oh my word. We had however many people watching live on Twitch, and I have never known a Twitch chat react the way it did to this game, to the point where me, Kev, the man who doesn't go and replay games, we actually had to come back for another night and replay it from a certain point and do things differently and do it again, because we were all like, there was 100 grown adults close to tears at what was going on. It was, I've never been so close to crying, either playing a game or streaming or anything. And for a £25, 5-hour, supposedly throwaway co-op experiment, to have a story that moving, oh my word, what a game. And again, I did that PlayStation 4 review thing that was all over Twitter earlier in the week, telling it how many hours you've done on different games. And I looked at that and thought, well, the only ones I've really played this year, Detroit, A Way Out, and Spider-Man. And imagine if they were releasing something like Detroit or A Way Out every couple of months. Oh my word, what a wonderful world that would be. But for me, sat here now looking at the horizon, I'm thinking, well, there's not really anything like that due. Nothing like that coming now. We've been absolutely blessed this year with 2 incredibly brilliant story-based experiences that were completely different to anything else that's out there. And for that reason, A Way Out has to be on the list as well. You watched along when we were playing it, didn't you, Pab? As well as playing it yourself.
I might have jumped in at bits, but I did finish it. I played it all in like 2 or 3 sittings as well. And I was exactly the same as you. I felt wronged at the end of that game, annoyed enough to go, we're doing that again. I was so, it was, like I said, gut wrenching. And I felt, like I said, at the end, I felt kind of angry. And it gives you a reaction, no doubt.
Oh yeah, for a game to get you to react like, I mean, it was movie quality storytelling. Anna,
What a good one.
tell me what you enjoyed this game, didn't you? A Way Out.
I don't know what you're on. It was alright.
Oh.
I didn't like the shooting.
I'll be honest with you. The gameplay let it down. That's where the game was let down, to be fair. But the story was enough to win it over for me.
I don't even remember what the gameplay was.
Yeah, the gameplay it was a bit clunky.
To me, it's so irrelevant for a game like this as well. It just doesn't matter. Just give me menus to choose from. That's all I need. I don't need to actually have control over the character.
I don't want control over the character half the time. I go down rabbit hole stuff. I have control. I just want on the rails.
Did you ever play this, Sheepdog?
Nope. Don't even know what it looks like. I couldn't even imagine it.
He doesn't even need to own it.
You and Kirsty need to get a hold of this and play it through.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Together.
Yeah.
It's only like 5 or 6 hours. You could do it over a couple of evenings, and it's brilliant. You like Prison Break?
Yeah, no, cool.
Breaking out of a prison.
Can you do it co-op though? Like same room?
Yeah, because it's split screen all the way through, isn't it? Even though it's online.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah, that is right. There it is split screen all the way through.
And it's a dynamic split screen as well, so it will change depending on where the focus of the characters
are. I do remember that now.
Yeah, so surely you can do local co-op on it. But that was the other great thing about it as well. For a £25 game, the online co-op of it, you didn't both have to own the game. One of you could own the game, and then the other person just had to download something off the App Store place that didn't cost anything. It was like the
downloader, effectively.
Yeah, you can play it with us type thing. And as long as one person owned the game, you could both play it. So me and Anna both got to play it on separate systems for 25 quid. It was brilliant. It was just such a good game. I want to play it. I want a blow to the head so I can forget about it and then play it again. Both that and Detroit. That would make my day. If I woke up tomorrow morning and couldn't remember anything about either of them, that'd be perfect. Right, let's go round again. I've done 2 of my 3 now because we've had Detroit and A Way Out.
Mm-hmm.
So back to Pav.
Red? No, I'm doing Red. No, I'm going to go for the Tetris effect.
Interesting. You mentioned this the other week, didn't you?
Yeah. This game it's kind of mind-blowing. It's kind of mind-blowing. For a Tetris game, for a game which is what? 30-year-old, effectively.
Yeah, but
yeah, Tetris itself, it's still Tetris, but it's from the guy who made Lumines, and it is very much Lumines Tetris, and that
Is
combination.
this the one that's on the VR?
Yes, it's on VR, but it's not. It's on PlayStation as well. It's on. You can just play it on the TV as well.
Is it on the Switch? Because if it's not on the Switch, I'm not.
No, but I imagine at some point it probably will. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know what the exclusivity is like. But I know it's only on PlayStation at the minute. But it's just the mix is just perfect. It is ideal combination of the way you rotate the blocks and it makes a beat to the song, and the way the song dictates the speed of the blocks falling and what you do with the block, sort of thing. It's just an experience that I've not had really in a game for a long time. I just kind of like I said, I sat there, and like I say, VR is another level of that again, because you're just in the VR and the backgrounds and everything is just around you. You're just immersed in it, and the backgrounds are just amazing. Just amazing backgrounds and stuff that's going on in it. It's just, like I say, you find yourself getting distracted by the backgrounds where you're trying to play Tetris. But it's just, like I say, it's just an experience that you need to have. I just kind of sat here in the VR headset, just kind of just in awe and amazed, and just kind of laughing at this is what is actually happening in front of me. And it's Tetris. It's Tetris. It's bonkers, I know, and I've not even played anywhere near the amount of hours. How many hours do you reckon Detroit was? Close to 12, between 12 and 20. Let's say that. I've probably put a quarter of that into this, but that's how strongly I feel about it. Is that it is that good of a game that it needs to be played. It really does. It's, like I say, it's kind of like, it's not like anything I've played, even though it is. It's bizarre. And I really do love it. It's so good.
I think someone should buy me a PlayStation VR so I can have a proper go on it.
Yeah.
I don't want to play the hobo version without VR.
Well, I mean, it still looks pretty damned amazing on 4K. In 4K, it still looks pretty damn cool. And like I say, I didn't even mention the soundtrack. The soundtrack itself is immense. The amount of times I have thought about that game and looked to see if I can get the soundtrack, and that's it's coming out next year. But yeah, the soundtrack in there is something special as well. So I find myself just listening to putting people playing it on YouTube just to listen to the music. It's that good. Oh, it's such a good game. Like I say, more people should play it with or without VR.
I think you should gift it to us all for Christmas then, Pab. Just do it now. Buy us all a copy right now. Come on, do it.
I'll look it up.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, if it was on sale, I might have thought about it, but I think it's still 25 quid.
That's fine. There's only three of us.
Put me off at that.
Me and Anna need separate copies.
That put me off at first. The price tag of 25 quid.
Yeah, you'd struggle to convince me to spend.
But like I said, when it came out, and I read the reviews and read like on Twitter people saying like, you know, that you need to play this game. This is kind of like a special thing, and I kind of caved on it, and I was like, yeah, you are totally justified in saying that. This is something special, and it needs to be played. It really does. It really, really does.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all of us have done 2 now, apart from Sheepdog. So
I haven't done 2.
Yeah, you had Spider-Man and Fallout.
Oh, yeah, of course so.
So let's have a second one from Sheepdog.
I think the obvious one for me is Pokemon Let's Go. I'm currently playing Let's Go Eevee while I do the podcast. I have 6 more Pokemon to get, and I have completed it. I'm wary of putting it down because it's basically a remaster, but my God, it's good.
This almost made it onto my list. It's the first Pokemon game I've ever finished the story ever. So I know I'm not going to catch them all. I'm not a loser. But I've beaten the Pokemon League lot and done all that. I've never finished a Pokemon game in my life.
I feel like
I did
they've
finish this and loved it.
so there's a guy who runs I can't remember the name of the site now. I think it's Cerebi.net. It's like the big Pokemon site, and he got like an early release and said, it's a fun game, but if this is the future of the series, then it's in trouble. And that worried me. And then when I got it, I was like, Jesus, that guy's obviously so used to the way they've always been that he can't imagine the fact that this has fixed a lot of just ball aches that the main games have, that makes it accessible to you or to my kids, and to just people who don't want to sit there and learn meta and stuff like that, which I don't want to do. I kind of just would play the main games, pick my good team and smash my way through it and then give up before I completed the decks. Whereas this is so polished and it's so thought through, and it's like, maybe people don't like doing these things that we're making them do every series. Let's find another way. And they've done that, or they've just copied it from Pokemon Go, and it works. It's been fantastic. And I'm not going to lie, like I haven't played it for maybe a week and a half, other than the tie-in with Meltan on Pokemon Go, getting the weekly, you send a Pokemon across, it gives you a mystery box, you have to open it and all of that. Other than doing that, I'd not been on it for a little while because I've just been busy, but I got on it earlier to give Ollie his weekly box, and I just thought, I've only got to get another, I think it was 35 Pokemon, and in the past 2 hours, I've managed to get 30 of them, and I'm at a point now where the last 5 I need to grind a bit for it. I hadn't had to grind at all, and now I have to grind, and I'm like, I'm going to get through it because they're all close to evolving. But to have completed the decks on one of them, I've never done that. I've never completed the decks properly because there's always been some reason why you can't. I've actually done it this time, and I'm well excited by that because, I just think it's great. And I'm glad that, like you say, you completed it, because it just shows that they have done better. Because
they fixed all the stupid stuff that put me off.
Yeah.
All of the just being able to see the Pokemon, so you don't have to be afraid of going into the bushes, or they would always get to the point where I just don't want to walk around anymore because I cannot be bothered.
I love that.
All of these stupid Pokemon attacking me all the time. And
I would always have a, what's it called, repel on. I'd get to a certain point in the game where I wouldn't move without repels, and it would just be, you'd be wandering along and it'd go, oh, you've used up your repel, would you like to use another one? And I'd have 100 of them, and if I got below like 50, I'd buy 50 more. And I wouldn't see a wild Pokemon for half the game because I just refused to.
And when you do decide you want to have an interaction with one, it's the Pokemon Go catching system. And because usually, because I'm an idiot, you can guarantee if I find that's a rare one, I've not seen that before, you can guarantee I'm killing that thing. There's not a chance I'm catching it. Because I've never, but even now, last night, I would occasionally go to the internet, and I think my last Google search on my phone is what's good against ice in Pokemon. Just because I've never bothered to learn any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So when I see a wild Pokemon, it is literally trial and error. And sometimes it'll have no effect and it'll batter me. And sometimes I'll one-shot kill it because I don't know what's going to be strong against it and what's not. And the fact that with this, I'm not having to look that stuff up to avoid killing stuff, it's awesome.
See, I think they must have realised this, because when they brought out Pokemon Sun and Moon, for the people who bought it straight away, you got given a Snorlax as a gift, and the Snorlax you got learns a move that it can only do their maximum HP -1. So you could one-shot them and they'd always have 1 hit point left. So that made that Snorlax my go-to Pokemon, because it meant that no matter what, I wasn't killing what was in front of me. And it was like the catcher's dream. It'd be just that one and whatever my starter Pokemon were my two just go-to guys. I basically beat the league with them, essentially. It was just them two taking on everything. Snorlax would knock them so far, and the other one would finish them off. And I loved that. That showed that they were getting it, that that's people just want to complete the decks. The story's secondary to that, you know. Like you say, in the old ones, you'd be going up against Mewtwo and accidentally knocking him down in one hit. Whereas like you get given a master ball for that sort of thing, so you can be, you know, you can just lob it out and whatnot. But as a matter of principle, I never use mine. I've still got the one from this game. I'd never used it. I don't think I've ever used a master ball in a main Pokemon game, because I like the idea of just having it there. It's like, you know, yeah, that's just the thing I can, you know, I've got that I don't ever want to use that could be, you know.
Yeah, I still got mine. I didn't really get what it was for. It's still sat there in my bag. I'm currently at the point where I've gone back to sit in my house, and the person who I thought was going to be my nemesis, but turns out to be my buddy, Sheepdog. That's why I named him Sheepdog, because I thought I was going to have to kill you. It turns out we're friends. Ugh.
It's just like real life, isn't it, really? The day we met.
But you've just burst into my bedroom going, Kev, there's a rare Pokemon. And I'm just, all right, Sheepdog, I'm staying at home. You going up. It literally is like real life. Yeah, you go and have your fun, Sheepdog. Come back to me in the summer. I ain't going out looking for Pokemon in December. And, that's pretty much exactly what's happened now. I'm not leaving that bedroom ever again.
That is Mewtwo, though. You'd be worth going to get him.
Who cares? I've finished the game.
It's not finished till you got Mewtwo. That's basically the rule, isn't it?
I wouldn't know. I've never. I've finished the story. It's taken me from step to step through a story, and now it's saying, "Do you want to come out and play?" No, you're right. I'll finally start Civilization 6, which I bought on the same day and hadn't loaded up until today. So
it's fair enough, isn't it?
My Pokemon character is lying on the bed playing Civilization 6 on their Switch and loving it.
I noticed earlier when you go to one of the shops in Let's Go, the shop sells Switches. I'm like, Nintendo are well into all kind of look at this world where you go to the shop and it's the only console anyone's buying. So all right, Nintendo.
It's my world.
I mean, this console is probably one of the best consoles I've bought.
It's the best console ever. Yeah, the Switch is perfect. I mean, if we were we're going on a slight tangent, but I'm just looking at mine now. Hold on, let's have a look through my most recent played games and try and explain that this isn't the most perfect console ever. So, just scrolling through Civilization 6, Pokemon. Let's pretend Smash Bros doesn't exist. Football Manager, Diablo, Undertale, Mario Party, Skyrim, Zelda. Dead Ellis, not Dead Cells, Stardew Valley, Celeste, Mario. I mean, it's just absolute hit after hit after hit. It's my games. It's brilliant.
It does feel like when I was a kid and I'd have my consoles and they'd just be, good.
Exactly. I'm very happy with it. But Pokemon was it was in my 3 until I remembered A Way Out existed. And that knocked it out of my top 3. So that's my it's my 4th place one, Pokemon Let's Go. Because for me to finish a game in this day and age, especially one I think it's taken me 25 hours, I think it said on the save clock. So for me to put 25 hours into a game, firstly, it has to be handheld. But even then, it's very, very rare for me to put 25 hours into anything. And
that's interesting. I've put 35 into it, apparently. And so you'd have to have done another 10 hours. Decks by the looks of it.
Yeah, not interested.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect it to be. But I'm surprised at that because I felt like I'd neglected the game, but 35 hours of my time, that is rather impressive.
Splendid. Right, we need to go round one more time and get everybody's third picks. Let's go back to good old pork and beans.
Me again, I've just been at it.
Yeah, but we got all out of order because of doubles.
Okay. My last one is God of War.
Never heard.
Same.
Really? You two are doubling up again, are you?
Yeah.
You copycats.
God of War.
It's a good game.
Yeah, God of War is probably one of the best games on the PlayStation, I would say. Probably up there.
Remember, this is the same console that's got Detroit and A Way Out on.
Yep, still better.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's a better story. It's a much better story.
Oh, I almost swore. I was so angry with you then. I put this one I got 10 hours into and just thought, it's just boring the hell out of me.
Yeah, but this does both. This does both gameplay and story.
I was going to say, everyone I know again saying that this has been the richest story. I almost got it on my Christmas list and then thought, I've never really been into. They've been all right. I just feel like I sit there and mindlessly bash the square button.
It's not the same.
So different.
So different.
Yeah. And so there's this guy who's like a rep for a company we work with, but he's great. Like he's a gamer, he's a geek. We get on really well. He's a legend. And so we talk about games. And so he played Spider-Man and said it was brilliant. He played this and said it was brilliant. And, you know, I give him suggestions. He gives me suggestions and he kept saying, get it. And I was just like, oh mate, I don't know. And, you know, it's like, I feel like I probably should have done. I've done myself in by not getting it, haven't I, really? I think I played myself here.
I don't know. Maybe, I mean, you can get it cheap now. That's the thing. You can find it cheap pretty much anyway. It's cheap on the PlayStation Store. I think it's 22 quid on the PlayStation Store right now. It's relatively cheap for what it is now. But yeah, this game, it starts off slow and mysterious, would you say, Anna? It's very... And it keeps its cards to its chest quite a lot.
Like me.
Yeah, exactly. And it plays nothing like the old ones. It plays nothing like them. And you have the big old axe, and it's just like I say that I wasn't 100% on board at first. But the more and more I played at it, the more invested I got. I didn't like how complex like the comboing stuff was. I was like, I just don't know what I'm doing, and I kept dying to something, and it kept frustrating me. And I did it, learned from it, and then upgraded in the right places, and it became.
Is this more like father-son, this story?
Yes.
Yeah, because that's the thing that appealed to me a lot as well. I don't know if I said in the past when we used to talk comics, but I absolutely loved there was a whole kind of arc, a massive sort of, however many years it's been that we've been doing comics, that whole period for Superman has been Superman and Superboy kind of dealing with the fact that Superboy is growing up and all of this. And I loved it because it's just like, you know, being a dad with a son who doesn't really get the world and that kind of thing. And then so hearing that this was a father-son type game, I was like, oh, this sounds right up my street. It's another reason why I feel like I played myself. But yeah.
So did you play The Last of Us?
Yes.
To completion?
Yes, loved that.
I got vibes of Last of Us from this. In the same sense of father-son sort of storyline to it. That's what I got from it.
I cared about the kid in The Last of Us. I couldn't care less about the kid in this.
Well, that's the thing. You didn't play it long enough.
I played it for 10 hours. If that's not long enough, I'm not interested.
I don't remember you caring about Thingy in Last of Us that early on, Kev.
The whole of Last of Us is only like 12 hours, isn't it?
I don't know. I remember you not liking it, I'm sure. But I might just be thinking to myself.
Close to 20.
By the end, I definitely wanted her to survive. But I think early on, we were all quite unanimous in. So I was about to just ask my.
The Last of Us was certainly short enough because we'd all finished it before it came out.
I didn't.
I'm sure we did. Me and Sheepdog had certainly finished it before it came out.
Because you were hugging the game.
I mean, that shows you how short that game was. So it certainly didn't get me 10 hours in without making me care. And I'll just keep saying it until the games industry changes. If a game has to take 5 or 10 hours to make me care about the story, it's not very good at story.
I'm going to say you're not very good at games. Because I watched your videos and your 5 or 10 hours should take you 2.
Well, then the game shouldn't be so stupid.
That's you. That's you, not the game. That's just something. You like these story-based games because you don't have to put any work in.
I don't want to put work in. I want to have fun.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So if you're not very good at the game, you're not going to enjoy it as much. Simple as.
A game shouldn't feel like effort, though, should it?
It's not effort, though. It's not effort. It's challenging in places.
I don't want it to be challenging, ever.
I know. You put it on easy every time.
I'd want it to be... do you know what the weird thing for me is? I want it to feel challenging. be knocked back by it. I mean, the perfect balance is me feeling like a frigging legend the whole way through it because I'm so good at it, but actually the game's just been kind of letting me win, but it's been really good at letting me win. That's how I want the game to feel, because I suppose that's probably how it was when I was a kid. And, you know, that's the sort of thing. And so I trailed off midway through what I was saying there because my wife walked out and threw away a wrapper that when I saw it was rammed with like over 100 sweets, and it's empty now. And I'm thinking, how has she tucked that away in an hour and a half? Sorry to derail our conversation, but she just left the room, and I was stunned. I mean, that's something straight out of my playbook, not hers. I'm alarmed. I've broken that woman, I think.
Anyway,
Sorry.
it's all right.
That sentence started with "I tailed off," explaining why, and then not getting going again. Just I'm just going to tell you about why I stopped talking about it, and then stop.
What? I did explain, didn't I?
You explained why you stopped talking, but then didn't go back to talking.
I forgot what I was saying. That's part of. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, this God of War, like for me, is probably the best story of this year.
That seems like a bold claim.
Honest to God, Anna,
Pardon?
would you say that this is probably one of the best stories of this year?
Yes.
Easily.
Okay,
Easily.
put it in the context of a TV show then. If 10 episodes in, it's still boring, is it the best TV show of the year, even if the second half of the season was really good?
Well, you like Better
Yes,
Call
because
Saul.
I didn't find it boring.
No, I didn't either.
I didn't find it boring at all.
I stopped playing this because I just got bored and couldn't be bothered to play it anymore. It's just...
That's because you couldn't do it, though.
Well, then that's the game's fault.
No.
That's poor game design. Any game that has a game over screen has problems, and it needs to just fix itself so that can't happen.
Well, so so Kratos dies, and you want the game to carry on without him?
Yeah. I want to carry on in the world.
Okay.
I want to know what the story is. I don't want to have...
The story is his.
The most frustrating thing in games is having to do stuff over and over again. I just can't stand doing it. It's so repetitive and dull.
It's unacceptable
But then,
to make
you play hours and hours of Football Manager, which is the dullest thing.
I don't sit there playing the same match over and over
You're there
again.
pressing spacebar constantly.
I'm not playing
the
the
same
same
thing.
But it's a constantly evolving and ever-changing story.
No, it's not.
Anna, my job is telling stories with Football Manager.
Spacebar.
See, when Pav claimed that was
Spacebar.
the year's best story driven game of the year, I was all ready to go with my number 3, and I am going to jump the gun and say that I think Football Manager 2019 is probably the best game for gameplay this year.
That's also my number 3.
They've absolutely knocked that out of the park. The gameplay this year for this version is so better.
Boring.
No, it's so good. I have some. I almost kicked it out of my top 3 because for some reason when I clicked load yesterday, none of my saved games appear. They are still there, but it can't find them. I don't know what to do to fix it, and I couldn't find any advice on the internet. But that aside, this is genuinely the best one they've done. And yeah, if God of War's allowed the story,
biggest step forward they've had ever, probably. Certainly since the 3D match engine would probably be the last time they had a leap forward the way they've had a leap forward this year. But it's like playing a different game. I've said a few times how because I'm doing this all day every day playing Football Manager, towards the end of FM18 I was getting pretty sick of it. You know, I was down to making 5 videos a week of Football Manager, and it's hard work. Whereas now I'm making 12, 14 Football Manager videos a week, and I'm ahead because I want to get back into my save. I need to be releasing more than one a day in each series because I'm getting ahead and loving it and want to keep pushing on and want to play it more. They've perfected it. I don't see how they can improve it next year.
Yeah,
and they do every year. It's insane.
I didn't think I was going to be putting that forward as my 3rd, and I debated whether or not to because I was hoping you'd come up with a different one so that it didn't end up being so dominant. But they have done so bloody well on it. and I just, they deserve to be on the list. They definitely do.
Absolutely. For no other reason than we talked about the PlayStation 4 thing earlier on. That tells you how many hours you've played on PlayStation 4 since it's existed. So in the 5 years PlayStation 4 has existed, I've put less hours into that than I have in the 6 weeks Football Manager 2019 has been out.
Did anyone do the Xbox one?
Yeah.
Yes.
For the year, I did 156 hours and 48 of them out with Andy playing Burnout.
Wow. I haven't seen mine.
I've played more FM19 than any console any current generation console in its life, and that says a lot about that game. It's magical, and to say that, from a story point of view, the most wonderful thing about Football Manager is it is a constantly evolving, procedurally generated story that never ends. And if it all goes wrong, you just carry on. You never have to replay anything. You
get sacked and move somewhere else as the universe continues without characters.
And that's perfect.
I wish they could find a way to put that into some sort of, I don't really know what format I'd want it to be in for it to, I don't know where I was going with that. It was more of it would just be fun to see an ever going world but then.
Yeah, it's taken a big chunk of life and simulated it perfectly. So the whole football world is perfectly simulated in this brilliant little creation. And yeah, you could take any aspect of life and simulate it in the same way if there was enough of an interest in doing it. But it's just the fact that football is obviously one of the things that is most popular worldwide. So it's easy to make a game out of this one. But you could do, I don't know, working in an office simulator, farming simulator. And if you did it, and the thing is, all those games are rubbish. But if you did it the way Football Manager did football, then they'd be good too, because they'd hook you in. I was talking to someone on Twitter earlier today. So I tweeted out that I was playing Civilization, and their reply was, Wolves versus Liverpool's on the telly. And I said, I couldn't care less. And their response was, what? Why? How? I haven't watched a Premier League game for 10 years. I just don't care. I don't really like football. I've watched 2 football matches this season. One was St Albans when I went down there because they invited me, and the other was the first day of the season against Posh. I find football really dull. I don't care. If they announced tomorrow that football was finished, I wouldn't care. But I still play this game every single day because it's brilliant. So it's not just that I'm really into football. There's obviously something about this game that it's simulating something that I fell out of love with 10 years ago, and I'm still loving the simulation. It's brilliant. Were you done talking about God of War? Because Sheepdog sidelined us.
Yeah, sorry, I did.
I suppose if you've got it, Anna, I suppose you might want to say something regarding God of War.
I just liked it. I finished it. It was different from before, which I wasn't. I was like, I know they're changing it, but how are they going to change it? And then I played it, and I was like, I'm not mad at it. I was quite happy with how it worked and how it went, and the ending was great. I was like, oh my gosh, really? Oh my gosh. And
yeah,
then
the payoff is something else.
Yeah. And it's just like, and then so there's going to be another one. Maybe not this generation, but it was so good. Like, I really enjoyed it. And now I want to play it again, thinking about it.
Very much.
It's just such a good game, and there was things, you weren't just following the story, there was things to do, there was side quests, and the side quests were fantastic as well. There was nothing I was there like,
oh yeah, there was an entire world I didn't even go to. I listened to podcasts and people talking about this particular what was it like? What were they called? Now I can't remember. Like, they were like worlds, weren't they? That you different lands.
Yeah.
And there's one I didn't even know that we're talking about. And I was like, I didn't even know this was a thing. It's just unbelievable the things that you can do in this game.
Yeah, there's one area it's like take on hordes, and then you get some material, but you don't need it for the game. That was just to upgrade bits and bobs if you wanted to. I went there, I didn't enjoy it, so I didn't play that bit. But it wasn't integral to the story. That was just a side bit you could go and do if you wanted to do. But yeah, the set pieces were lovely. The creatures were great. The story was great. The fact that they were mixing different gods was great. The fact that you had he's Greek, I'm guessing.
Yes, Kratos.
And then they're mixing it with Norse, and I'm guessing they're different, aren't they?
Yeah, Norse.
Yeah, and the fact that they were mixing them, and then like 3/4 of the game, you get something special, and you're like, oh my god, this is so good, and like, it's such a good game.
Yeah. For me, it breadcrumbs you enough to keep you going, and it drops something massive on your plate.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa, roll that back a minute. I need to process this a minute, because that is just unbelievable. Yeah, it's just so much, and there's a few of them points in the game. It's just so good. And if people out there are listening and haven't played this and got a PlayStation, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because this game is, for me, hands down, the best game of the year.
Well, there we go then. Has anyone kept a record of all the nominations so far?
So,
I propose we do the voting system different to how Pab was going to propose we do it.
Okay.
Because my understanding is you were going to give us 3. You're going to have to put our 3 in order, basically, and then tally up the votes that way.
Yes.
I would suggest what we do is we get the total list and we each get 5 votes across the whole shortlist.
Okay.
So our 5th out of that shortlist would get 1 point, and our favourite out of the entire shortlist gets 5 points.
Okay.
So I think that has the potential for us to, like, I don't mind throwing a vote behind Pokemon, for example, but I didn't nominate it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would put a vote behind Detroit, because I haven't nominated it, but I played it and enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I think so that's going to give us a better way to get a better number 1. So,
okay,
do you want to tell us what the shortlist is, Pab? Because I don't remember.
Okay, so we had Spider-Man. We had Fallout 76. Are you writing these down, or do you want me to write them down?
I don't have a pen. What do you think this
all
is?
Right. So we had Spider-Man, Fallout 76. Sheepdogs was
Detroit.
Pokemon. There you go. That's the one. Detroit.
Football Manager.
Yours then, Kev, would have been A Way Out, wouldn't it?
A Way Out, Detroit, and FM19.
I'm trying to go through them all now. You went back to me, so I said Tetris Effect.
There's quite a lot of overlap, really, which I suppose isn't that surprising.
Good games are like, you know what I mean? Together. Where do we go next? I can't remember now. I've lost myself.
Right. So you've got my 3. You've got your 3.
You got my 3. You've got Pokemon, Detroit, and Football Manager from me. So Anna's was Fallout,
Spider-Man,
and God of War, wasn't it?
Yeah. So
I think I've got them
anyway. Yeah. So if we each decide on our top 5 out of all of that as a shortlist and put them in order.
I'm going to have to be a bit rubbish on this, because the list of ones that are here, basically the 4 and 5 of mine are going to be ones I've not actually played, but either have on pre-order or wish I'd bought. So that's how I'm going to vote, just to be transparent.
You vote however you want to vote, little fella.
You know.
So what I think we should do is we should go round and each name our 5th and give it. Pab's going to tally all this, so we'll each name our 5th, and each of them gets 1 point. Then we'll go round and name our 4th, etc.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll start us off this time. My number 5 off of that list of nominations is Spider-Man. So I'll give 1 point to Spider-Man.
Okay.
Anna, what would be your number 5?
Way Out, maybe. I don't think.
A Way Out. Okay, that's a point for A Way Out. That's fine.
Sheepdog.
I'll go God of War, because I wish I'd put it on my Christmas list, and it's too late now.
Okay.
But I'll play it eventually, because it does seem right up my street.
Okay. So my fifth one would be Pokemon Go. Eevee, whatever it is. Pikachu. Let's go, yeah, that's right. Back to you then, Kev.
So my number 4 is Pokemon. So
wait,
2
so
points to Pokemon.
2 points to Pokemon now.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Next it would be Anna.
Detroit.
Detroit, okay. 2 points to Detroit
then. Spider-Man. Because I'm getting
Spider-Man.
that. I can't
2
wait.
points to Spider-Man. Mine would then be... This is my 4th, isn't it?
Yeah, so...
Yes, mine would be Detroit. So 2 points to Detroit.
So I'm going to give my 3 points to A Way Out.
Okay. Yep.
Anna, 3rd place.
Spider-Man.
That's 3 points to Spider-Man, isn't it? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go Football Manager for 3rd.
3 points from you. My third will go to Tetris Effect.
Okay. I'm going to give 2 points to Football Manager 2019. Oh, sorry, 4
Your
points.
second, please.
Yeah. My second place is Football Manager 2019.
Okay.
Anna, what was your second place?
God of War.
So that's 4 points, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think my second place is going to be a Pokemon Let's Go.
So that's 4 points to Pokemon Let's Go. Okay. And it's my second place, isn't it?
Yeah.
My second place is to Spider-Man.
Okay. So my number 1 game of the year is Detroit.
Which is 5 points, yes?
It is 5 points. 5 delicious and well-earned points.
Okay.
Anna, what was your game of the year?
Fallout.
5 points to that.
I was all ready to try and convince you that it was Tetris Effect for me, but obviously it's Detroit.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So mine would then be God of War.
Okay.
Should then leave it on.
So now you need to do the maths, Pab. And while you do, I would like you to then announce them in reverse order, top 4, because that 4 we can then do as a Twitter poll, so the audience can vote on it as well. So we can put 4 into a Twitter.
Okay.
So starting from 4th place, once you've added all the scores. Should we talk about tennis while he's doing that?
Do you know,
tennis.
I was trying really hard to decide with my 1 and 2 there, and I thought to myself, never felt like I was just burning time in Detroit, whereas I'm sat here right now just spewing Pokeballs at nonsense Pokemon I don't want, just so that I can complete this dex. And there was never a point like that in Detroit. It always felt like I was...
There was never a point you were catching Pokemon in Detroit.
Yeah, basically. But I think that is a testament to how good it was. They never felt like any filler. This just feels like that. You know, I didn't feel like this till this past 20 minutes. I felt like I'm literally just grinding for the sake of grinding now.
What are you laughing at, little fella?
We got two pairs that have got the same. 2 pairs that have got the same score.
Well, then we'll fight them out in a minute. So we've got a joint 3rd place then, have we?
Yes, effectively.
So what's joint 3rd place?
Football Manager and Pokemon Let's Go.
Wow.
Okay. So
both with 7.
So what's the joint 1st place?
Hang on a minute, I can't work this out.
I was going to say that can't be the case because
there's a joint 2nd place and then a clear winner.
Right. So what was 4th place?
Sorry, what? Hang on,
What's in fourth place, Pab?
Either Pokemon or Football Manager. I don't know. Just unless you want me to go back further again.
The one below them.
Oh, one below them would then be Fallout 76.
Yay.
So
I suppose because I
76
gave
in
it the
fourth
full
place.
marks, it would have pushed it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what's the winner then?
It hasn't done second or third.
Oh, so we don't need to know about Fallout. So
Hang on.
what we're going to have to do for the Twitter? We need a top 4 to put on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
So in a minute we're going to kill one of Football Manager or Pokemon. So in
And then
second place it's Detroit and
The second place is Spider-Man or God of War, both on 10 points.
oh, so Detroit won, did it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent.
You-
Justifiably so. Well, then I
Despite
suppose me
you-
and Sheepdog need to decide between Football Manager and Pokemon because you two didn't care. I'll fight you for it. I mean, this is like stripping us down to our very cause.
Yeah, that is hard, isn't it? I would worry. This is going to be my angle. Worry that if you're on a poll, that then you share your audience is tens of thousands of Football Manager addicts, and that is just going to skew our entire poll.
Well, I won't retweet it then.
But I want you to retweet it. I just don't want the heavy weighting, because I don't want that to end up being the game of the year just because we happen to be,
Yeah, that's why I shouldn't retweet it. I don't want to mess it up.
But if it ain't on there, and
but I can't imagine a universe where it's not.
yeah, it's hard.
Because I mean, you're grinding there, Sheepdog. You were just talking about the grind. Ooh, you don't
Yeah,
grind.
but
in
Football Manager's all grind, isn't it? Really?
Football Manager is all story. It's a
No, it is.
wonderful experience. Unless we just we control the Twitter. Let's just not put God of War on there.
Yeah,
That's second place game though.
What? I can't hear you, Pab. The line's breaking up.
Between Spider-Man and God of War, that is the joint second game.
I don't understand the question.
That's got more votes than Pokemon Go and Football Manager together. So
Hang on, though.
Why don't we just make them?
I've changed my mind. I didn't really like Spider-Man. I liked Tetris Effect.
well, I'm changing my vote from Detroit back to A Way Out, and so I'd like to say because I ballsed this up. I honestly ballsed this up, and I meant to put A Way Out in there, and at some point I've messed it up. So I'm taking my vote as is.
Right, we'll worry about this at a later date. Me and Sheepdog will have a fight, and I'll
Why
win.
don't we just put Football Manager / Pokemon Let's Go and let that just win?
Then the two of them together will win.
Exactly. And then we just show that our cores are basically the two pillars of gaming, both right.
It's not. It's not like as if it's.
We'll let Twitter
binding.
decide that, Pab.
No, the important thing is the four of us as a group have recognised that Detroit was the best game of the year, and that's very excellent wisdom.
We're a
shown
wise
by all of us.
bunch.
Yeah, we are. Detroit. How could we name a different game when we literally dedicated a month of podcasts to that one game? 4 hours. There's 4 hours of content of us talking about Detroit out there somewhere, probably on iTunes and Spreaker and places like that.
Mhm.
So it always had to be Detroit. And if you go to MG UK Podcast on Twitter, there will be a poll on there as well shortly after this episode goes live, where there will be.
I've got an idea.
Go on there.
Why don't we just let people vote for the runner-up and leave Detroit out of the poll?
Or we could just do it as a top 3 and leave Football Manager and Pokemon out.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
And just
Content in
say-
the fact that
Yeah,
they're
which is the
probably
best
things
game.
that you and I particularly like and have all.
Yeah. The only problem is God of War is definitely going to win then, and that makes me.
Not necessarily. Detroit, Spider-Man, and God of War.
Yeah.
I'm guaranteed.
Tell you what.
I mean, it's people's opinions.
That says more than anything. Xbox need to pull their finger out.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I just
I
thought
think
that-
they've had a quiet year. They've had all the. Do you remember when Sony had the E3 where they just went, "That's coming soon. That's coming soon. That's coming soon." This was that year that everything came. So yeah, like I said, this was the year that Microsoft. I mean, I was thinking, go through my Xbox games, going, what Forza maybe? And even then, I was like, I've not played enough to the same way I have played the other games. So yeah, doing a year off.
Yeah, well, hopefully they get their act together next year, because we might finally get Crackdown next year, which will be a novelty, because we've said that for the last 3 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get what?
Crackdown.
Crackdown? Is that a thing still?
It's
Oh,
not,
they're like- I
no,
thought they
it's not a
cancelled
thing
it.
yet. That's the point. One day, maybe.
Wow, I thought that was out already.
If it is, I didn't get it.
No, it's not until Q1 next year.
Next year,
Yeah,
Lord.
that's their party line. Once it ticks over to next year, it's
I
still
wish
Q1
they
next
didn't.
year.
I wish they hadn't cancelled that dragon game. Wait, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That one, that looked really good, but why they cancelled it, I don't know. Silly people.
Well, we will wrap things up there, because that's been it's been quite a long and emotional experience, but at least the right game won in the end. But worry not, folks. That's not the end for festive excitement on the podcast for this year, because you all know what's coming. What is it now? The 8th annual Google Zeitgeist Review of the Year show. It's the 8th annual or the 9th? It must be the 8th annual. The 8th annual Google Zeitgeist Review of the Year show will be coming up next week. It is my favourite podcast of the entire year. If you've never experienced it before, my word, are you in for a treat? And we'll be doing that next week. But
I was
for
telling
now,
my colleague how excited I was about this coming up. Sorry to interrupt you there, but I was telling him earlier today, I said, I've just realised it is about a week until I do my annual Zeitgeist podcast with my friends. And he was like, I don't know what any of those words mean. Tried to explain. And he didn't seem that impressed. But, I'm excited.
All it'll
So
be
you should
is
be.
Fortnite.
How to make
Oh.
slime. That's what I've learned, Anna. That is always an answer to one of the questions. Always.
I will point out that, mentioning Fortnite, I didn't put Fortnite on here for a reason, because it didn't come out this year. A lot of people
assume
say
that's
that,
the case.
but yeah.
yeah, there's plenty of games that didn't come out this year. That I mean, I loved Mario this year. I loved Persona 5 this year.
I'll be honest
None
with
of
you.
them came out this year.
I'll be honest with you, I thought you were struggling for games that much that I said, Sheepdog, I was going to let you have a pass on games that you've just played this year.
I considered taking that pass when I realised how much time I've spent playing, Mario Odyssey and that. I really thought, you know what, I might just take him up on that because, you're right. But
When I actually sat down and thought about it, I realised games like
Yeah. You've played a lot more games than you usually do this year, Kev, if
that's
I'm honest
because
with you.
there's been games for Kev out. The
Yeah.
fact that Detroit and The Way Out came out this year, they're games just for me. They're my games, and it's a shame we're not going to get anything like that next year.
well, the Switch is bound to have a lot of things coming out on it.
Well, I am desperate for Persona 5 to come out on the Switch. Announce that now.
They won't, though.
I'm excited, Anna, because the little fella here has asked for the Spyro trilogy for Christmas, and I was like, I didn't even know you knew what it was. So Santa's perhaps if Santa don't bring that, Santa can go home. So I'm excited about that, and I'm thinking he's gone from just generic Minecraft, that sort of thing, to proper games now, and I'm excited that I get to do all that. It's going to be cracking.
Right, let's end this nonsense. Just this episode, not the podcast as a whole. We've got a zeitgeist to do. But make sure you head over to the Twitter. We're actually going to do something with it this week. It's the 1 week of the year where we do something with the Twitter. So now is the time to go and follow MG UK Podcast. Or you can follow me at Leluge.
You can follow me at RB6.
Have you finished? Because you're kind of cutting out.
That's
Did
fine.
I?
Let him cut out.
Yeah.
It wasn't important. You didn't say anything.
I'm at Miss Lelouch.
And I'm at Pab 1986.
There's other places you can find us online too, but let's face it, we're never at any of them, so don't bother. Just use Twitter. I think that's fair. Do we even still have a Facebook? Nobody knows.
Kev, Sheepdog checks it, doesn't he?
No, he does not.
Well, it tells me on my phone if it'll usually just say you haven't posted on it for 6 years or whatever. It annoys me by telling me it's just like people want to hear from Kevin Steve's Indie Publishing Adventure, and I'm like, no, they don't.
I left those groups ages ago.
I think I deleted that group. Yeah, I think I've left that one. But Best Thing From I kept because sometimes people message on there. Couple of them, just it tells me, well, we're from the internet. People want to hear from No,
See you next week, boys and girls.
have a good week.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, folks.
Oh, excuse me.
Goodness me.